Hello.
Shovels are the name and shovels are your game. Have I got that right?
Supposed to be.
Basically, Ervine Plant is you.
Think so.
Pretty much. Tell us a little bit about these two machines that you fired out. I mean, is this typical of what you're buying and selling, or?
Yeah, that'll be fairly typical. Yeah. Bigger end of the business would be the smaller pivot steers, TM 320s, 310. Then you have your 53660s, 53170s. They'd probably be what you call the bread and butter.
Yeah.
These here, I suppose, there's not an awful lot of them on the market yet. 420s. With the new S out now, you'll probably see more of them coming through. So there is starting to be an odd second-hand one filter through.
Yeah, and it was awesome of you to fire the 420 up, because just with us having the 420S sort of from JCB, it's nice to have the 420 as a reference, you know, so we're able to actually look, can we really see the power difference, can we see the difference in the styling and the cab, and I think you've just been after having a wee drive around in the 420S, and I think it's fair to say even you were seeing it.
Oh, definitely. It was like one of the big things I would say was the quietness of the cab. Definitely, they've improved the cab an awful lot, seating, controls, that sort of thing. But I would say probably the big bonus is everybody's will agree is the power, and that's probably where the standard 420 was let down a wee bit. But definitely now they've definitely come on leaps and bounds, and it'll be interesting to see how it does.
The 420, whenever it was working in the pit, you always felt, and it sounded like it was screaming its head off the whole time. The 420S, when she's working in the pit, as they say, is like a mouse eating paper. It's no trouble.
Yeah.
She doesn't sound under pressure. She's just getting it done. But as you say, probably for Northern Ireland or the Irish market, the 320 is probably still going to be the daddy. Yeah,
well, I still think the 420 is more geared towards your larger dairy farm digester man who wants one machine to do all. Your 320 is still going to be your bread and butter, like your stock man. He wants to push his own bit of grass. Your 320 is more incapable of that. But the 420 definitely, I think that larger digester man will be taking a very closer look at it, for as a machine that he can do all with.
And this one's got something like 4,000 hours on the clock, and she's for sale. So come on. But over your other shoulder would be what would be considered by most, and I'm not looking to open up an argument, because you'll buy and sell anything. I know JC. I know you lie towards JCB a lot, but you know, the 435S is pretty much considered king of the clamp. She's a very low hour example. Yeah,
I think 1,600 hours from memory, 2016 machine. Yeah, I guess as close you get to new one probably as possible.
Might be 1 or 2 more hours on her now. But,
don't worry, we only bill per hour.
That's all right. Well, I'll give you Eddie Gamble's address here shortly. But no, she's a very tidy example. Actually, I did run her down the road to Eddie Gamble there, and I told Robert just to have her run in her. I suppose theirs is up in 4,000 hours now, and he said it was a lovely machine, very tight, got on really well with it. But you don't see many with that age, with that few hours on it, as tidy, as a pretty rare find.
No, well, listen, they're a good machine. They have, they've definitely, they've made a big impact back into that bigger silage contractor's machine. It used to be, I suppose, back in the days of the 416, people drifted away maybe to Volvo, other manufacturers, because they had that name for the big market. But I do see a bit of a trend where people are starting to come back to like all these machines again, away from your L70s and your L90s, and definitely they're a good contender, and they're as good as probably as what's out there.
But it's not just JCB you work with. I know JCB is your thing.
Yeah.
You've kind of everything. If we look on your website, And you've even a lovely Volvo, well, maybe Scania the next time. Mark Stewart says no, but we'll maybe get there. But you know, even delivering in, you had a lovely Volvo. You brought the couple of machines in, but you have everything. If you look through your website, you'll find all makes, all models. Not just plant sales. It's not just selling.
No.
It is the whole. I mean, farmers, telehandlers. You know what I'm saying. You don't. We'll not maybe progress that one.
We'll not move on from that.
But you know how to bring them in. You know what to look for. You know how to tune them up and go through them, and then, you know, put them back out that they're going to give normally good service.
Like it used to be, probably the guy the farmer buying the second-hand machine. That was it over. Once he got her out the gate, you know, I mean, but I suppose. Predominantly we're all mechanics. I was a mechanic by trade, and you know, anybody working for me was the same. And we try till once we sell the machine, we try to look after the customer as best we can. We're doing the repairs on a good maybe 50 to 60% of our business is still rollover from that. So you have a customer who has bought a machine off you. You know, we've been doing the service and repair work for them. And then whenever the time comes for the machine to be changed, well then they're coming back and saying, listen, it's time, we'll maybe upgrade it, and they'll give you first shot, you know, and that's the bigger end of our business is still rollover from that, you know.
And that's vital too, because even the big boys and the big companies, they need guys like you that are able to take those good second-hand machines and keep floating them on, because that's what helps keep the base in the market, let's be honest.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know, I suppose the first thing we do would be bring them in, and we would try to go through the mechanical side of them first of all, see if there's any pin bush work, you know, service work, get that all done. Then they go to the painting end, and you know, we try and touch them up, like, because let's face it, 95% of them nearly need all some sort of painting at some stage.
I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your favourite machine to both work on, drive and sell? Have you a favourite machine?
I would have to say I have two.
Okay.
I can't differentiate between either. Listen, the 320, you know, the 310 is probably one of my favourite machines. It's a machine, you know, that has done really, really well for us. It's a nice machine to use. It's probably not just as complicated as some of the rest. And in the four-wheel steering, I would probably say the 53660.
And I know Johnny Blakely, our paint man, does all our tiling
Yes.
and painting. He loves his 310.
Ah.
And like, you know, he's done a lot of even buck raking to the country with that machine over the years, and we've seen him out and about just with different contractors. And I suppose he was the fella they called for when the big girls couldn't fit somewhere. And is it just plant, or do you work in anything else?
Mostly plant. We do a small bit of hire as well. It's probably a thing we're only branching out into this past couple of years. We have a good, you know, some hire customers there that keep coming to us, you know, and it's an end of the business we never pushed.
Yeah. So is that like, it's the likes of this 435 because it's real low hours on it or whatever? Some guy was on a hand and needed a machine for the rest of the season. You wouldn't think twice doing a deal to hire.
Oh
that
no.
out to him.
Definitely. No, if it's there, it's for hiring. I suppose the other end of it is, like, I have a 53660 there, which would be very popular. You have a man there who has, you know, a Q-fit headstock on his machine, or he has a pin and cone, or he has a Manitou headstock on his machine. We keep all them headstocks there. So if a man says, I want a 53660 for a week, but I have a Manitou attachments, we can go and we can put a Manitou headstock on for them. It means they can use all their own gear on buckets and shear grabs and whatever.
What do you think now? I actually was really thought this was really cool here. So ProDig, who we do a lot with, this is their 10-foot tractor push-off buck rake that they sent us up. And I rang them and said about the couple of JCBs coming and whatnot. And he says, I'll send you up a bracket for the pin and cone. But it hooks on. They've the buck rake designed it. They can hook that bracket on so that it's all in nice and close. It's a clever job now. And I think a lot of companies now are starting to realise that they need to think about these different things, because it's just what you say. You could have one machine one day and a different machine the next day, whereas you can bang the head off and on again. Well, look, John, thank you very much for calling.
Thank you.
We'll have to get down, as they say, someday shortly for a sup of tea.
Absolutely.
And I wish you well. I hope you get these machines sold shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Take my hand and we will conquer the world. This is our final chance.